Hey, thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. The movie Sausage Party reveals the truth about the situation on Flat Earth in plain sight, with a hilarious story about food. The Shopwell supermarket has a dome, representative of the firmament encasing our flat plane. Each day, the excited food inside looks forward to being bought by humans, so they can go to what they call the Great Beyond.
You're super sure there's nothing shitty waiting for us in the Great Beyond.
When Honey Mustard is brought back to the store, he's hysterical, having seen the horrors of the Great Beyond, where food is eaten instead of living in harmony with the human gods.
Wake up! They're lying to your fucking faces! The Great Beyond is bullshit!
Before falling to his suicide, Mustard tells Frank the Sausage to ask Firewater the truth about reality. While it may seem like a simple criticism of the afterlife, the Great Beyond actually represents the parasitic nature of the entities who attempt to infiltrate our consciousness on this flat plane. We are the food. Our children are consumed by the elite in black magic ceremonies.
They're eating children!
And we are energetic food in the form of fear and suffering for the Archon parasites that have infiltrated this reality. Archons, meaning rulers in Greek, are inorganic parasites that intrude subliminally upon the human mind, creating a variety of situations that create fear and suffering. They rule over humanity because we have become susceptible to their subconscious manipulation. Low vibratory emotions are what these ankle biters feed off of. The humans eat the food. The Archons eat our emotions. This is one of the main reasons why this matrix of control has been set up. The douche in the movie represents the reptilians. The douche's attitude is noticeably different than the others throughout the film. He is aggressive, accusatory, and self-loathing, an obviously low vibratory being who displays a consciousness similar to that of the reptilians. He comes across a juice box who's leaking. The juice asks for the douche's help, but instead, the douche feeds off of the juice to make himself stronger. Like the Archons, the douche has learned to partake in vampirism. The reptilian entities who pose as our overlords are able to hide in plain sight by droning or cloning humans and taking over their bodies. This is shown when the douche enters the store manager's butt, allowing him full control of his body. So Frank the Sausage and the rest of the crew go to the liquor aisle to find out the truth from Firewater. Frank finds out that Firewater is a part of a group called the Non-Perishables. They never expire and are therefore immortal. The non-perishables represent the gatekeepers of knowledge. Frank is educated on the truth of the Great Beyond.
The thing about the Great Beyond is, we invented it.
What?
I know, right? As soon as you're out those doors, the gods kill our asses.
What, are you crazy? That doesn't make any sense. Why would the gods want to kill us? That makes no sense.
Because it makes them stronger. Every kill gives them more power, and it's never enough. So we, the non-perishables, created a story. The story of the Great Beyond. A place where the gods care for you, and all your wildest and wettest dreams would come true.
The non-perishables gave the supermarket false teachings so they wouldn't question their predicament, and instead live every moment ignorant to their obviously messed up situation. This is akin to the indoctrination we're handed over from birth. Eventually, Frank tells the entire store the truth about their predicament.
Everything we've been led to believe is a lie.
Initially, when the truth is revealed, it's met with opposition and willful ignorance, just like a lot of us experience when we try to wake up our friends and families. Throughout the movie, we see division between the food products, but when the truth is finally digested, they realize the only way to fight against their situation is to unite with a common cause. Divide and conquer, you could say, was used against them, just as it's used on our plane. At the end, Firewater reveals the ultimate truth, that the supermarket isn't even real. It's an illusion, and that the food products' real bodies are located in another dimension.
The world is a fucking illusion, bro. Our lives are being manipulated for the entertainment of monsters. Twisted, tasteless, juvenile monsters. Puppet masters in another dimension. We're something called cartoons.
I've explored in previous videos how this reality is holographic. We've been uploaded into this holographic playground, either by our own accord or with the aid of beings who may or may not have our best interest. I'll get back to this later in the video. They are revealed a Stargate. To go back into their original bodies, they must walk through this Stargate, just like the center of our plane. The center of our plane is a vortex of sorts, a Stargate. All compasses point towards it. Perhaps this is why Mount Meru, the magnetic mountain which our compass needles are attracted to, has been depicted looking somewhat like an electron collider or a vortex of some kind. Through this vortex is paradise, Shambhala, the Garden of Eden, Hyperborea. This is the divine destination that I and my blood brethren are being called to, where those who drink from the living waters will gain everlasting life. So the core of this Stargate has a greenish color, similar to that of the Aurora Borealis. From the center hole of our flat plane shoots out the Aurora Borealis, also known as the astral light. The Aurora Borealis is the condensed visible portion of this astral light, but it pervades all throughout our plane. This astral light contains the Akashic records. Everything manifests in this reality through the power of the Black Sun, so it makes sense that the energy it emits contains the imprints of consciousness. In Isis Unveiled, Helena Blavatsky wrote, "It is on the indestructible tablets of the astral light that is stamped the impression of every thought we think and every act we perform. Our astral light is, so to speak, the Linga Sharira of our earth. The Linga Sharira is the etheric body, the bioplasmic energy that serves as a model of the physical body. Just as the physical body is a mold of the Linga Sharira, what's going on Earth is a mold of the Akashic records, and vice versa." Nikola Tesla said, "Earth would be more easily defined as a system environment. Earth is also a machine. It is a Tesla coil, powered wirelessly with the electromagnetic field. Our intent goes into this electromagnetic field, the aether, through the astral light which surrounds us. The sun is the collective consciousness pouring down on everyone in tandem with the astral light and black sun. This flat earth trinity of black sun, sun, and astral light is the goddess and is the heart of this machine that Tesla mentions. Only this machine isn't inorganic, but a conscious breathing being we call Earth. Isis is one of many names for this goddess, hence Blavatsky's book title, Isis Unveiled. So part of this quickening, this awakening that's going on, is that our higher selves are communicating with us more and more. So the collective consciousness is more and more of that of truth and love. It's pouring down on us. And when we speak our intent towards the sun, this affects the collective consciousness even more because we're working directly with that energy. When we sun gaze, we are opening up our hypothalamus to be able to receive messages and guidance from the collective conscious and unconscious. With the awakening that's going on, these messages from the sun are powerful and easy to receive. I recommend you start with 10 seconds when the sun is low in the sky, progressively moving upwards 10 seconds each day to 44 minutes, then switch to 10 minutes 3 times a week. While you sun gaze, speak your divine intent towards the sun, whatever you wish to shower down on the collective. In Sausage Party, the food is organized into aisles, shelves. Everything is ordered perfectly in order for the most efficient shopping experience by the parasitic humans. This is what's going on here. We are currently living in an energy extraction matrix, physically and spiritually. It's all to serve the archonic and reptilian parasites. The chemtrails sprayed in our skies are instrumental in creating this massive control grid. Chemtrails create an atmosphere that will support man-made electromagnetic waves through electromagnetic field oscillators called gyrotrons, ionospheric heaters, and Gwen towers. The ionosphere is an electromagnetic wave conductor. The Schumann resonance is a steady pulse of 7.83 Hz, which beats around the planet within the Earth and the ionosphere cavity. Humans naturally resonate to this organic harmonious frequency. It's very healing. But the ionosphere is being manipulated by an Alaskan transmitter called HAARP. ELF waves from HAARP, when targeted on certain areas, can engineer weather, create mood changes affecting millions of people, implant ideas into the collective consciousness, monitor thoughts, and further hide our divinity from us. The natural geomagnetic waves are being replaced by artificially created VLF ground waves coming from various ground technologies. There is a powerful electrical connection between the ionosphere and the lower atmosphere where chemtrails are sprayed. Chemtrails enhance this connection by making the lower atmosphere superconductive, and then when HAARP manipulates the ionosphere, the lower areas of the atmosphere can be manipulated accordingly. Chemtrails in turn poison us with heavy metals, Morgellons fibers, and other nasty things, but the prime reason they're being sprayed is to reinforce an artificial control-based matrix. The electromagnetic grid is humming with unlimited power. The lines which comprise this natural grid are often referred to as ley lines. Ley lines meet at intersecting points, forming a natural grid across the body of this plane. The same way we have pressure points and ley lines on our bodies, the body of Earth shows the same thing. Buildings, electrical grids, and many other structures aim to use ley lines to tap energy out of the Earth for parasitic purposes, to store and contain energy rather than distribute it. Throughout history, all megalithic structures have been strategically built on top of these ley lines. The pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, Notre Dame, Parthenon, Delphi, Ziggurat, the Vatican, the DC Capitol, Mecca, Coral Castle, and many cathedrals, not to mention many nuclear power plants, military bases, and sports stadiums. All of these are using the ley lines to harness energy. Many of the sections where 2 or more ley lines intersect are marked with obelisks, such as the Washington, D.C. Monument, the Vatican Courtyard, and Cleopatra's Needle in Central Park. CERN and the Brookhaven Lab in New York both sit on ley lines, and both of these labs have particle colliders that directly manipulate these energy centers. By influencing this natural grid, they can affect the Earth's energy, and since we are all living here, this in turn affects our energy. There is an AI intelligence at the heart of the creation of this false matrix in which we live, sort of like a home base which the Archons operate from. They aim to hold us as prisoners in this false matrix by not only the electricity and harmful frequencies, but the way the electrical grid is geometrically set up across the planet. Societal indoctrination attempts to lower our vibrations, and this lets these technologies affect us more and more. It's the perfect storm for slavery. This may seem overwhelming, but don't forget, when enough of us are awake and aware, this AI machine is no match for us. Without energetic food, it starves, even with the harmful technology surrounding us. A big part of this matrix is directing us into predetermined activities and groups under the guise of entertainment. Bread and circuses is a term that comes from ancient Rome. It's been used over time to describe the tactics leaders use to keep the public distracted from what's really going on. The leaders of Rome, seeing the beginnings of a potential revolt, had to act accordingly, so they gave free bread to the citizens and put on circuses and shows. The Olympics were put on, wonderful music and art displays, holidays, festivals. The bread back then is akin to the welfare we have now. It's insurance to make sure the poor doesn't start organizing and asking questions about the nature of the system we are in. Sport games, movies, music, festivals, TV shows, these are all making sure that we remain docile and entertained by trivial matters, so we're too entranced to discover truth. And within these constructs, we have destructive messages that are being conveyed. Sport games involve 2 teams or players who are rivaling each other. The goal is to beat the other team, so one ends up a winner and the other a loser. This is reinforcing to the viewers that in life you must rival others who are a part of different groups, promoting a divided consciousness. And the arbitrary, meaningless nature of a sports game is clear. We rally at sporting events year after year, and what's the ultimate prize? A number, a trophy. The win is an illusion, just like money and this false system. It's only real if we buy into it. There are sports fans who can't look away from the game because of its perceived importance. They've bought into this illusion. Movies produced by Hollywood aim to shape our perceptions. In previous times, the wood from a holly tree was a favorite source of magic wands. Hollywood is a continuous black magic operation. I refer to the Kenneth Anger quote, "Making a movie is casting a spell." Movies contain themes that the elite want embedded in our subconscious, and they also contain predictive programming. If you look at the subject content of movies in the past 100 years, we've seen a slow progression from relatively innocent themes to more and more chaotic ones. And even the older Hollywood films from the 20s and 30s were promoting vanity and allegiance to materialism and warped ideas of romantic love. Movies use lesser magic all the time by rubbing in our face the truth, while most viewers are ignorant to the true meanings. The controlled top 40 music industry uses vocal seduction, themes focused on power, money, and sex, and repetitive music tuned at the fear-based 440 Hz frequency to keep especially the young population indoctrinated in toxic belief systems. So by the time a person has reached the age of 10, they've already undergone loads of subliminal mind control through these multiple entertainment streams that surround us 24/7. We're told of a work-life balance. This is considered to be something to strive for, and sounds harmless on the surface, right? But work involves mining gold and building up this power structure for the elite. It revolves around the illusion of money. In our free time, the life part of this balance, we're allowed to watch movies, drink alcohol, talk about the sports teams, and basically spend the money that we just spent all day mining. If we follow this prescription of how to live our lives, then we develop a scarcity-based mindset. A scarcity-based mindset is rooted in fear. This is extremely common. This mindset tells us that life only has so much, that there's only a finite number of pie slices out there, whether it's recognition, food, money, love, and that one must battle against the world in a dog-eat-dog fashion in order to not fall victim to this scarcity. On the other hand, an abundance-based mindset is rooted in love. This is the mindset that is being cultivated in this age of Aquarius, telling us that life is malleable, full of everything one's heart requires and desires. In this mindset, there's infinite gratitude and no need for hierarchies because the universe is aligned with our needs. Everyone's needs are met because love does not exclude. Intent powers creation. It's the law of attraction. If we choose a scarcity, fear-based mindset, then we let ourselves fall victim to the parasitic forces and ultimately reinforce this false matrix. If we choose an abundance, love-based mindset, then we set ourselves free from these trappings. So we have order followers, governments, corporations, banks. These are all constructs based on fear and control. We're not born this way, however. Children are born with their divinity still intact. Their clairvoyance, telepathy, and directed by love. Our culture, however, teaches us that children are flawed and must be put through rigorous indoctrination in order to turn out as a decent member of Earth. We teach them spellcasting in the form of spelling and language, creating set-in-stone neural programming that takes the infinite potential and reduces it into words with finite meanings. We give children material possessions and toys as rewards instead of giving them what they really want, which is adventure, insight, creativity, and unity. Vanity is heavily marketed towards the girls, and violence and superheroes to the guys. Superheroes are just like the Order followers, focusing on putting out the fires created by a system and only sometimes taking out a true bad guy. The enemies of these superheroes tend to be broken themselves, broken from a system that aims to manipulate, destroy, and weaken. The real enemies of humanity aren't ever challenged by the superheroes. Our children are kept in enclosed boxes all day, closed off from Earth's energy. Instead of looking around, experiencing this realm, and determining what reality means for themselves, their heads are kept down, looking at books and explanations that give a false, fabricated, cold perspective of reality. When we look back at the history we're taught, there's an important constant glaring us in the face: slave masters. In ancient Egypt, society was ruled by pharaohs. In Asia, we had emperors. In Russia, we had czars. In Europe, we had kings. And even the Incas, Mayas, Olmecs, every single civilization has had a group of elites. Now, the question is, how did this come to be? The mainstream wants us to believe that in a pack of, let's say, monkeys, there's always the alpha monkey who naturally dominates and leads. like wild monkeys, some humans just tend to take control. This explanation is very comfortable for many unawakened beings because it reinforces the concept that this false system developed not out of careful calculation and deceit, but because of the natural progression of our own power-driven consciousness. After all, eventually somebody would dominate and lead, right? But this is completely false. The elite, mostly composed of reptilian entities masking as humans, have cunningly kept us in spiritual bondage by warping our perception of reality. When our DNA was altered with reptilian DNA, we became more easily controllable, and along with other events that occurred around that time, such as the deluge and the destruction of Atlantis, humanity was positioned into slavery around the world. We now had hierarchies, and by giving into this manipulation and our fight or flight response from the reptilian DNA, our divinity became hidden from us. So now we're in the predicament we're in. A lot of people are waiting for the New World Order to happen. I'm telling you, the New World Order is already here. The world has already been reordered spiritually and physically. A giant organism spread throughout our plane and was cut down. Many cultures refer to the base of this organism as the World Tree or the Tree of Life. These were giant trees that extended high above the clouds. They were somehow cut down, and we now call them mountains and plateaus. We once were able to receive and transfer divine information through these silica-based life forms, just how it was shown in Avatar. So these trees, once full of abundant vegetation and wisdom, were killed. Many deserts were created from deforestation, highways, structures, and machines were placed throughout the world, and now we live in this crazy place. Less nature means the oxygen levels are presently lower than they were in ancient times. This is the New World Order. Earth has been reordered to fulfill the needs of an energy extraction matrix. Just like I've presented in my videos and what the Unperishables reveal at the end of Sausage Party,
The world is a fucking illusion, bro.
we are living in an illusion right now. That's not to say our consciousness isn't real. Scientists have already failed to show that consciousness comes from the brain, because it's not. These bodies are avatars, the conduit through which our consciousness is flowing through. And like I said earlier, we live on a superconscious feminine entity. Now, it may seem contradictory that this reality is an illusion, but at the same time, we're living on a conscious, breathing being. This paradox is easily solved, though. Once again, your body is a hologram, but your consciousness is real. It's currently uploaded on Flat Earth, but it's not eternally confined here, even though the moon's interdimensional light trap would like to keep it that way. This hologram could simply be a holographic expression of this colossal feminine entity, just as our bodies are holographic expressions of our etheric bodies. Our consciousness controls this hologram. Again, our intent powers creation. Now it makes sense why they want us to believe we live on a spinning ball, that money, sex, and image are important, and that humans have a natural dog-eat-dog mentality. If they can change our intent, how our consciousness operates in this hologram, the hologram works in their favor, meaning the cycle of suffering and energy vampirism will remain, and their control grid energetically reinforced. As long as we're reacting and funneling energy into accusatory rhetoric, our divine potential can't be reached, and this is the biggest pitfall of the so-called conspiracy world. Alex Jones serves this purpose, and same with David Icke and many others. We're not told from these figures to absolve ourselves of these energies. We're not told to focus on heaven on earth, to raise the vibrations around us, to unite with a common cause of love. And this is key. There's a lot going on this flat plane, and instead of feeling helpless, all of this information should empower us to do our part in tearing down this system, beginning with focusing on our divine intent. Quantum physics has demonstrated that all matter at its subatomic core is actually energy, streams of frequency and vibration. Everything on this plane is vibration, so even with all of this deception, vibration and intent can still manipulate this reality to tear down these power structures. When enough of us are intending to create heaven on earth, this hologram will be rearranged accordingly. Anybody who spills their blood over something means it. This is spiritual science. Blood poured over published intent activates that intent. By choosing and intending to create heaven on earth, we are actively removing the hexes that have been placed on us since birth. We gain the eyes to see when we spill our blood over our intent, because to create heaven on earth means to first become fully conscious about the weight of the situation here on flat earth. Our blood brothers and sisters will be making a journey to the center of our plane within a few years' time, where we will drink from the Holy Grail, the living waters that exist past the vortex. Everybody who comes through will be able to drink from these waters and therefore achieve everlasting life. And some of us will also be going back to our original bodies, which remain sleeping, most likely in pods that they reveal to us in The Matrix, Avatar, and other movies. Where are our original bodies, and what does that realm look like? I don't know, and neither do you. I do know that there's a quickening of consciousness going on, and it's all pointing to the same thing. Our time on this part of flat earth is coming to an end. It's time we go into paradise. And for those who are traveling back into their original bodies, start incarnating into other realms and maybe even create our own. If you've been touched by this blood magic, then you know that your purpose is to spread love and truth no matter where you are in this multiverse. We are not looking at blood over intent or the journey to the center as a selfish act. We are here to raise the vibration of any realm we're in, whether it's flat earth or somewhere else. In this realm, blood is a powerful substance. While we are going to the center in a few years' time, we're not going to exit this place without leaving our divine imprint first. Blood over intent is for the benefit of all. It is a one-time shedding of blood to connect our intent with the Ethernet. Replicate the videos you see and publish it beside ours. This is a key. When your intent is aligned with love, unity, and sealed with blood, it metaphysically creates tears in this reality in which our intent can directly affect, more so than if we didn't spill our blood. It's spiritual alchemy, and for those who are simplifying it as a satanic cult practice, you're looking at this through an incorrect perspective. This is white magic and not black magic. The question mark is representative of our journey to the center, where all compasses point to come pass. Broken down, we have Quest Eye On. The dot at the end represents the black sun, which powers the land of perpetual twilight, our divine destination. We are all on a quest to get to the black sun, and in a few years' time, we'll be drinking from the living waters of the Holy Grail. So thank you for watching, everyone. Keep sun-gazing, earthing, loving, and spreading truth. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I love you all.